Every second you waste is another bullet fired at your future. You think you have time? No, time has you. And it's killing you slowly while you scroll, while you procrastinate, while you pretend you'll start tomorrow. I don't wait for the clock. I load it, I aim it, and I fire it to win. Most people walk around like time is some free subscription that automatically renews every month. They'll waste an entire afternoon arguing online with strangers, lying in bed scrolling, watching videos they'll forget tomorrow. They act like they're immortal. They act like they're immortal, like they'll be here forever. They don't realize the truth. Every single second you waste is gone, never coming back, and you're one step closer to the end. People don't feel the weight of time until it's too late. You think you've got tomorrow, next week, next year, but what if you don't? What if this is it? I learned this the hard way. When I was broke, I didn't just lose money. I lost time. I wasted years surrounded by people with no ambition, no drive, no hunger. I'd sit around talking about dreams like they were going to magically appear. I'd train a bit, then slack, work a bit, then slack, work a bit, then stop. And then one day, I woke up and realized the guys who started with me had already passed me. I was behind because I treated time like a free drink refill, like I could just get more whenever I wanted. But life doesn't work like that. When I started fighting professionally, I understood what time really means. You've got a fight date on the calendar. That's the moment you either win or you get destroyed in front of the whole world. And the days leading up to it, they matter more than anything. If I wasted even one training session one morning in bed instead of on the road running, one night eating junk instead of focusing on my diet, I'd pay for it in blood. That's the truth. In the ring, you can't borrow extra hours to fix your mistakes. Oh, the man who spent his time better than you will beat you. Every time. That's when I stopped thinking of time as something I own and started seeing it as something I rent. And rent is due every single day. I started treating my hours like ammunition. You don't waste bullets shooting at shadows, you save them for the kill shot. If I had an hour free, I used it to learn something, to train harder, to strategize. I cut out pointless conversations, pointless parties, pointless people. People called me cold for that. They said I was obsessed. They were right. I am obsessed because I know how quickly life can steal time from you. I remember when I was broke, living in a tiny apartment, trying to figure out how to make enough money to eat decent food. There were nights I sat there in the dark because I couldn't afford electricity, thinking about how I'd wasted years being lazy. I hated myself for it. I hated that I'd had the same 24 hours as everyone else, but I'd spent them like a fool. That anger became fuel. I promised myself I'd never let another day pass without using it to push myself forward. The difference between me then and me now isn't luck, talent, or some magical break. It's how I used my time. When everyone else was chilling, I was working. When they were resting, I was grinding. When they were wasting hours in comfort, I was in discomfort, building the life I wanted. Time rewards the man who respects it, and it destroys the man who doesn't. You see, most people are addicted to the feeling of later. They say, I'll start tomorrow, like tomorrow is guaranteed. Guaranteed. That's the trap. You think you have time because you can't see the clock ticking, but the clock doesn't care if you notice it or not. It's taking from you every single second. When you understand that, you stop wasting time on things that don't matter. Munter. Even now, when I wake up, I know the day ahead is a battlefield. Every hour I waste is a bullet I didn't fire at my goals. I don't get that bullet back. So I make sure every shot counts. I look back at the man I used to be. Broke. Lazy, full of excuses. And I know he died the moment I started valuing my time like my life depended on it. Because it does. There's no mercy with time. You can be the nicest person on earth. You can have dreams bigger than the sky. But if you waste your hours, time will crush you just the same. It will strip away your chances, your opportunities, your youth. And one day, you'll wake up old, tired, and full of regret, realizing the most valuable thing you ever had wasn't money, it was the time you let slip away. That's why I tell you, guard your time like your life depends on it. Because it does. Use it to build, to grow, to dominate. Cut out everything and everyone that steals it without giving value back. If you're not moving closer to your goals every single day, you're moving further away. There's no pause button. The world doesn't wait. And if you're not ready to fight for your time, someone else will gladly take it from you. You can make money back You can rebuild relationships. You can recover from almost anything, but you can never, ever get back the hours you waste. And once you truly understand that, you'll start living with urgency. And urgency is the only thing that gets results. You either master your time or it masters you. One of the biggest reasons people stay stuck in the same place year after year is because they allow time leeches into their life. Oh, people who steal your minutes, your energy, your focus, and give nothing back. You might not notice it at first because they come disguised as friends, co-workers, even family. They tell you they just need a minute of your time, but that minute turns into an hour. That hour turns into a day, and suddenly a week's gone and you've got nothing to show for it. They're not just wasting your time, they're robbing you of your future. When I was younger, I thought loyalty meant giving everyone my time. If someone called me, I'd answer. If they wanted to meet, I'd go. If they wanted to talk nonsense for hours, I'd sit there and listen because I thought that's what a good friend does. I was wrong. I didn't realize I was surrounded by people who were draining me. They didn't push me to be better. They didn't challenge me to grow. They just wanted company in their own mediocrity. And because I kept giving them my time, I became one of them. I learned this lesson brutally when I started climbing out of being broke. Back then, my phone never stopped ringing. Guys I grew up with, people I'd known for years. They weren't calling to invest in me, to help me. They were calling because they wanted to talk about football, gossip about someone's girlfriend, argue about things that didn't matter. And every time I got sucked into those conversations, I noticed something. My goals got further away. I'd hang up the phone, and I'd feel like I just lost a fight I didn't even know I was in. One day, I decided to cut them off. I didn't announce it. I didn't argue. I didn't try to explain myself. I just stopped answering. Stopped showing up. Stopped showing up. And do you know what happened? Most of them disappeared instantly. The people who only took from me couldn't stick around once I stopped giving them my time for free. That's when I realized how many fake friendships I'd been carrying on my back. It wasn't easy. Some of these people had been in my life for years. Some were family. Cutting them off felt cold at first, but I knew if I kept them close, I'd never grow. Because time leeches don't just take your hours, they take your mindset. They plant seeds of doubt in your head. You tell them your goals and they laugh, or they tell you it's impossible, or they distract you with some urgent nonsense. They convince you to lower your standards so they can feel comfortable with theirs. When I was training for fights, this became even clearer. I had people trying to pull me away from training for parties, nights out, random road trips. They'd say, "Oh, come on, you can miss one day. It's not a big deal." But it is a big deal because one day becomes two becomes a week. And before you know it, you're out of shape and out of focus. That's exactly how time leeches operate. They don't take everything from you at once. They chip away at you slowly until you don't even recognize yourself. When I started my businesses, I saw the exact same thing. People who'd never built anything in their life wanted to give me advice. People who were broke wanted to tell me how to make money. They didn't care about my success. They just wanted me to waste the same time they were wasting so they wouldn't feel bad about their own failures. That's when I made a rule. If you're not adding value to my life, you don't get my time. Period. And value doesn't always mean money. It can mean advice, motivation, connections, or even just pushing me to be better. I've had conversations with people who made me think differently, work harder, and take bigger risks. Those people can have my time any day. Phew. But if all you bring me is gossip, negativity, and distraction, you're gone. Because my time is my weapon, and I don't hand my weapon over to people who can't be trusted with it. I remember one particular guy I used to hang out with almost daily. Oh, we'd talk for hours, laugh, share stories. It felt like friendship. But one day, I realized that every time I left him, I felt drained, not motivated. I'd wasted an entire afternoon talking about things that didn't matter. The day I stopped hanging out with him, my productivity tripled. My energy went into my training, my business, my own growth, not into entertaining someone else's boredom. This is the reality. You don't have unlimited time, and the people who waste it are stealing from you. But here's the part most won't admit. Sometimes it's your fault. You let them in. You answer the calls. You reply to the messages. You agree to the meetups. And every time you do, you hand over your most valuable resource. You have to become ruthless with your time. You have to protect it. the way you'd protect your own life. Because that's exactly what it is. Your life divided into hours and minutes. Once you start cutting out the leeches, you'll be shocked at how much more energy you have. You'll see your goals getting closer, your discipline getting stronger, and your future becoming something you actually control. It's not about being heartless. It's about being smart. If someone isn't helping you move forward, they're holding you back. And if you want to win in life, you can't afford to carry dead weight. Cut the leeches, protect your time, and watch how fast your life changes. Dead time is where most people throw their lives away without even noticing. Those little moments when nothing's happening. Waiting, in line, sitting in traffic, standing around before a meeting. They treat them like they don't matter. They stare at their phones, scroll through nonsense, or just zone out. But here's the truth. Those minutes add up to hours, those hours add up to days, and before you know it, you've lost months of your life to nothing. The difference between winners and everyone else is what they do in those dead moments. When I was broke, I didn't understand this. I thought progress was only made during a work time, the hours I specifically dedicated to training or to business. The rest, I wasted. I'd sit on buses staring out the window. I'd wait for people and do absolutely nothing. I'd let whole pockets of my day disappear because I thought they were too small to matter. And that's exactly why I stayed broke longer than I should have. It changed when I started fighting. See, in fight camp, every second counts. Your body is a machine, and it's either getting sharper or it's getting duller. I realized that even when I wasn't in the gym, I could still sharpen my mind, so I stopped letting those dead minutes slip away. If I was commuting, I was listening to fight breakdowns, learning strategy, studying my opponents. If I was waiting somewhere, I'd be stretching, visualizing my movements, picturing my combinations. Those wasted minutes became the moments that built my edge over other fighters who only trained in the ring and did nothing outside it. Later, when I got into business, I took the same approach. Dead time became learning time. I had a phone full of audiobooks and podcasts about money, mindset, and success. If I had 10 minutes in between meetings, I'd be learning something new. I treated my brain like a weapon, and I kept loading it with ammunition every chance I got. It didn't matter if I was at the airport, in a taxi, or in a waiting room, my mind was working. There was a time when I was running multiple hustles just to keep my head above water. My days were chaos. I'd wake up early, work all day, train in the evening, and crash at night. Crash at night. But what really pushed me ahead wasn't just those big chunks of work. It was the little pockets of time that other people wasted. While they were complaining about traffic, I was absorbing new ideas. While they were gossiping in the break room, I was making calls or writing down plans. Those small moments compounded into massive results. Most people think they don't have time to change their life. That's a lie they tell themselves because they waste the time they already have. You don't need an extra 5 hours a day. You need to stop throwing away the 30 seconds here, the 2 minutes there, the 10 minutes over there. Those minutes stacked over weeks and months can make you dangerous. I remember when I started to really become obsessed with this. I'd be with people and I'd watch how they handled waiting. We'd be at a restaurant waiting for food and they'd be talking about random nonsense or scrolling Instagram. I'd be on my phone reading about a new investment opportunity, checking my goals or writing down ideas. They'd spend that time trying to escape boredom. I'd spend it building my future. And over time, the gap between me and them became huge. Dead time is invisible to most people. They don't see it, so they don't use it. But the truth is, dead time is your secret weapon. It's the time when everyone else is off guard, when they're letting their guard down, when they're not thinking about growth. If you're the one person in the room using those moments, you'll move faster without even realizing it. When I travel now, I make it a rule. No wasted time. If I'm on a plane, I'm either planning, studying, or working. If I'm in a car, I'm listening to something that makes me sharper. If I'm waiting, I'm thinking through my next move. I treat every gap in the day like an opportunity, because that's exactly what it is. I've had people ask me, don't you ever relax? Of course I do. But relaxing is a choice, not the default. Most people are in a constant state of passive relaxation, not really working, not really resting, just existing. That's the worst state to be in because you're not moving forward and you're not recharging. You're just wasting. If I choose to relax, I do it fully and intentionally. But when I'm not, every second is aimed at my target. That's the mindset you need if you want to dominate. Stop letting the small pieces of your day die unused. You can learn an entire skill just by filling your dead time with practice. You can build an entire business plan just by writing during those little pockets of downtime. You can change your entire mindset just by replacing distractions with education. It's simple. You either let dead time rot or you bring it to life. And if you bring it to life, it will bring your dreams to life faster than you can imagine. Turn your dead time into your deadliest weapon. Focus is the difference between playing at life and winning at it. Most people scatter their attention everywhere. They start one thing, get distracted, start another, and end the day with nothing finished. They're like a flashlight, lighting up everything a little bit, but never strong enough to burn through anything. A flashlight doesn't scare anyone. A laser cuts steel. That's what your mind should be. A concentrated force aimed at one target until it breaks. I didn't always have that. Back when I was trying to figure out how to survive, I chased too many things at once. I'd be training for a fight, but thinking about business. I'd start a business, but spend half the day worrying about other side hustles. I was working hard, but the results didn't match the effort. It was frustrating. I felt like I was moving, but not getting anywhere. And then I realized why. I was leaking energy in 10 different directions instead of channeling it into one. When I started fighting seriously, I didn't have the luxury of being unfocused. A fight date is a deadline that doesn't care about your excuses. The man across from you is training every day to take your head off. If you're distracted, you're dead. That's when I learned what focus really means. Cutting out everything that doesn't get you closer to the win. Every decision I made revolved around that fight. What I ate, when I slept, how I trained, who I talked to. It all served the mission, and the difference in results was instant. My body changed. My skills sharpened. My confidence skyrocketed. Later, when I moved into business, I saw the same principle at work. People love to brag about multitasking, but in reality, they're just switching between things and doing each one badly. I stopped trying to be everywhere at once. Instead, I picked one goal and went at it with tunnel vision until it was done. I'd wake up and know exactly what the mission was for the day. No confusion, no debating, no we'll see what happens. That kind of focus turns you into a weapon because your energy is never diluted. I remember one year in particular when I was building a company from scratch. I cut out everything. Nights out, pointless conversations, even hobbies. People said I was obsessed. They were right. I was obsessed because I knew that if I gave even 10% of my time to distractions, it would cost me the win. I locked in for months, and when I came out the other side, the business was making money. My skills had doubled, and my competition had no idea how I'd moved so fast. Focus also exposes weakness. When you direct all your energy into one thing, you can't hide behind excuses. If you fail, it's because you weren't good enough. Yet. That forces you to adapt and improve instead of distracting yourself with other tasks so you can pretend you're busy. I've seen countless people hide from the truth by keeping themselves occupied with 5 different projects at once. They never succeed at any of them, but they tell themselves they're working hard. When you operate like a laser, you also scare people. So scare people because most of the world is scattered and unfocused. They can't understand someone who's locked in. They'll try to pull you away, tempt you with distractions, or even criticize you just to break your concentration. I went through that constantly. I lost friends who couldn't handle the fact that I didn't have time to hang out. I upset people by refusing to take calls that weren't about my mission. But that's the price you pay for focus, and the payoff is worth it. The truth is, focus isn't just about working harder. It's about making sure every ounce of your effort counts. You can spend years working at 50% power in 100 different directions, or you can spend 1 year at 100% on one mission and change your life forever. The first option leaves you exhausted and empty-handed. The second one makes you dangerous. If you want to see how powerful this is, pick one thing and give it your full attention for 90 days. No distractions, no side quests, no just checking other opportunities. You'll see more progress in those 3 months than you have in the last 3 years because you're finally using all your energy to push one thing forward instead of bleeding it out in every direction. I've lived both ways, scattered and locked in, and there's no comparison. When I was scattered, I was frustrated, broke, and constantly behind. When I locked in, I dominated. That's not a coincidence. That's the power of focus. Be the laser, not the flashlight. When you understand how to weaponize time, it stops being just something you use for yourself. It becomes a silent assassin that works against your enemies. Every hour you spend grinding, improving, and building is an hour they didn't. Every skill you sharpen is a blade they don't have. You're widening the gap without even being in the same room as them. When I was broke, I had people who looked down on me. They thought I'd never make it out, and I could feel it in the way they spoke to me, in the way they dismissed my ideas, in the way they laughed when I talked about my goals. At first, I wanted to argue. I wanted to prove them wrong with words. But I realized quickly that words don't matter. Time does. If I spent my hours arguing, I'd lose. If I spent my hours building, they'd lose. That spent my hours building, they'd lose. That's when I decided to let time be the punishment. I remember the early years of fighting when people would tell me I was wasting my time training so hard. They'd say, you could just get a normal job, make steady money, and stop killing yourself in the gym. They didn't understand that every brutal session I put in was another step ahead of everyone who was taking it easy. I wasn't just preparing for the next fight. I was preparing for life. While they were resting, I was evolving. When fight night came, the difference was obvious. Not just in my skill, but in my discipline. The same thing happened in business. I had people around me who wanted to take it slow, who thought success was something you stumble into after years of luck. I decided to do the opposite. I treated every day like a war and every hour like a bullet. I loaded my schedule with actions that moved me forward and refused to waste time on things that didn't. The result? In a few years, I was so far ahead that people who once mocked me were asking for advice. That's how you make time hurt your enemies. You create a distance they can't cross. People underestimate how powerful this is. They think winning is about showing up at the right time. It's not. Winning is about building so much momentum behind the scenes that by the time your competition notices, it's already too late. You've been putting in hours when they weren't watching, and now they're staring at a version of you they can't keep up with. This is why I don't get distracted by my competition. I don't sit around comparing myself to them. I'm too busy making sure every hour I live is a weapon aimed at making the gap bigger. Even if they wake up tomorrow and start working hard, they're still chasing a shadow that's already 10 miles ahead. I've had people betray me, underestimate me, and try to block my moves. Instead of wasting my time on revenge, I invested it in growth. I wanted my success to be the thing that crushed them, not my words. The beautiful part is, time does this better than anything else. Time doesn't need you to shout. It doesn't need you to brag. It just shows the results. And the results are louder than anything you could say. It's also psychological. When people see you improving at a pace they can't match, it breaks them inside. They start to doubt themselves, to question their abilities, to wonder why they can't keep up. And that's when you've already won. You've beaten them mentally before you've even gone head to head. I learned this lesson in the gym. There was a guy I used to train with. Talented, strong, naturally gifted. At first, he was ahead of me in almost every way. But I outworked him. Every day, every spare moment, I was putting in extra rounds, studying, pushing my limits. He didn't see it at first. Then one day he realized I was better. It wasn't because I was more talented. It was because I had turned time into my weapon. I'd invested every spare minute into getting ahead, and he had spent those same minutes relaxing. That's the kill shot. The most dangerous thing you can do to someone who doubts you is not to tell them they're wrong. It's to keep showing up, keep improving, and keep winning until they're forced to watch you become everything they said you couldn't be. That's what turning time into a weapon really means. You make progress so consistent and so undeniable that it shatters their pride every time they see you. That's the way I've lived for years now. I don't waste time on petty battles. I don't waste it on proving myself to small minds. I let my actions stack day after day until the difference between me and them is a canyon they can't cross. That's how you win without ever throwing a punch. Let time be your revenge and let your results be the pain they can't escape. People live like they've got forever, and that's the most dangerous lie you can believe. You don't. Time isn't your friend. It's a ticking clock that's been running since the day you were born, and one day it's going to hit zero. Most people think that day is far away, so they move slowly, delay decisions, and tell themselves later. But a later is where dreams go to die. You either live urgently or you waste your life in slow motion until it's over. I learned that lesson the hard way. There was a point in my life where I had no money, no real plan, and no urgency. I was getting ready to change my life, telling myself I'd start the business later, I'd train harder later, I'd fix my situation later. But later never came. Years went by, and I realized I was standing in the exact same place I'd been before. That's when it hit me. My life wasn't standing still. It was moving, just in the wrong direction. Oh! Time was passing whether I did something or not. And if I didn't start moving fast, it was going to run me over. Urgency changes everything. When you act like the clock could run out tomorrow, you stop making excuses. You stop overthinking. You stop caring about what people think. You start acting right now because you know you might not get another chance. When I started fighting, urgency was built into my life. The fight date on the calendar didn't care how I felt, didn't care about my problems, didn't care if I was tired. It was coming, and I had to be ready. That's how I started living. Every single day was a countdown, and I had to get better before the bell rang. When I carried that mentality into business, everything exploded. I stopped putting off ideas and started acting on them immediately. I stopped saying a one day and replaced it with a day. Most people waste months just thinking about starting something. They research endlessly. They talk about it with friends. They plan. And in that time, I've already started, failed, learned, adjusted, and started again. That's why I win. Not because I'm smarter, but because I refuse to wait. I've seen what a lack of urgency does to people. I've watched talented fighters lose their edge because they thought they could take it easy. I've seen entrepreneurs with million-dollar ideas end up broke because they were too slow to act. The world doesn't wait for you. Opportunities don't knock forever. They move on to someone else who's ready. When I was younger, I thought I had time to figure everything out. Then I watched people I knew die young, friends, family, gone. And it shook me. It made me realize that we live like we're guaranteed another day, but that's not reality. Any day could be the last. So why would I waste even one? That's when I started living urgently in everything I do. If I want to say something, I say it now. If I want to start something, I start it now. If I want to change something, I change it now. Because there's no promise that I'll get to do it tomorrow. Urgency doesn't mean panic. It means clarity. It means every decision you make is based on the understanding that time is running out. When you think that way, you move differently. You train harder. You work faster. You stop wasting time on things that don't matter because you know they're costing you precious hours you can't get back. I can tell you from my own experience, the day you start living urgently is the day your life changes forever. You stop tolerating nonsense. You stop delaying your goals. You stop living like you've got 100 years left. You start squeezing everything you can out of every single day. And the more you do that, the more you realize how much time you've wasted before. It's painful at first, but it's also powerful because it makes you refuse to waste another second. People sometimes ask me, how do you stay so motivated all the time? It's not motivation. It's the awareness that the clock is ticking and I don't want to die with regrets. That's my fear. Not losing, not failing, but running out of time knowing I didn't give everything I had. Every day you live with urgency, you pull further ahead of the people who don't. They're walking, you're sprinting. They're thinking, you're doing. They're waiting, you're winning. That's how you separate yourself in life. Live like the clock could hit zero tonight and you'll win. For the rest, even start moving. You don't own time. You rent it and the rent is due every damn day. Pay it in blood, sweat, and action, or watch someone else live the life you were too slow to claim.